Okay, so here's something to think about. President Trump just claimed that Iran's military capabilities have been obliterated in 5 months. That's a bold statement, right?
It really is. And it's just one part of a much bigger story coming out of Camp David. Let's get into it.
Welcome to DeActa Daily Digest. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Juniper. Here are today's top stories.
So, starting with Camp David, President Trump's remarks covered a lot of ground. He criticized the International Criminal Court, made some strong claims about U.S. operations in Iran, and touched on the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Let's break this down.
Absolutely. His comments about the ICC were particularly striking. He called it illegitimate, echoing Secretary of State Marco Rubio's remarks. But what really caught my attention was Trump suggesting that Rubio might be trying to protect Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. That's not something you hear every day.
No, it's not. And it's interesting because it adds a layer of complexity to U.S.-Israel relations, especially with everything happening in Gaza. Trump also declared that U.S. operations had severely degraded Iran's military capabilities. He said their Navy and Air Force were obliterated and their missile and drone inventories were significantly reduced.
Those are strong words, but they raise a lot of questions. Degrading military capabilities doesn't necessarily mean the threat is gone. And then there's the situation in Gaza, which is escalating. Israeli forces reported killing a Hamas deputy cell commander involved in holding an Israeli hostage and the body of an IDF corporal.
And that's just one piece of the puzzle. The broader regional dynamics are heating up. There were reports of clashes near Nablus, Iran claiming it launched drones at a U.S. airbase in Kuwait, and Hezbollah tunnel networks being dismantled by the IDF. It's a web of interconnected tensions.
And amidst all this, there's the proposed Gaza ceasefire roadmap. The EU's foreign policy chief called it a constructive step, but even she acknowledged the challenges of verifying Hamas's compliance. Hamas, for its part, seems willing to move into the second phase of the deal if Israel meets certain conditions.
But those conditions are extensive. They want Israel to halt its military campaign, withdraw troops, and agree to reconstruction efforts. Plus, they're asking for international protection forces and other political and security guarantees. It's a tall order.
And let's not forget the issue of heavy weapons. Hamas has said they'll only negotiate over their disarmament after these conditions are met. It's a classic case of who goes first, and neither side seems willing to make the first move.
And that's where international mediators come in, but their role is tricky. The White House announced that Trump's Board of Peace issued a roadmap for implementing the Gaza peace plan, calling for an immediate cessation of military operations. But no formal signing ceremony is planned between Hamas, mediators, and the board, despite Hamas's stated approval.
That's an interesting choice. A signing ceremony could have been a symbolic step toward building trust. Without it, the roadmap might feel less concrete to the parties involved.
And trust is really the key issue here. Without it, even the most well-intentioned plans are likely to falter. Speaking of trust, or the lack of it, let's pivot to our next story. FIFA. The organization is once again at the center of controversy, this time over a proposal to expand the World Cup to 64 teams and a plan to sell a stake in the tournament to private investors.
FIFA and controversy go hand in hand, don't they? The idea of expanding the World Cup from 48 to 64 teams is already sparking debate. They just finished the first 48-team tournament, and now they're considering adding even more teams. It feels rushed.
It does. And the timeline they've set for this decision is incredibly tight. Stakeholders have just a couple of weeks to respond, with a decision expected by mid-August. That's not a lot of time for meaningful input.
And then there's the investment plan. FIFA President Gianni Infantino wants to sell a stake in the World Cup to private investors, led by Joshua Kushner. That proposal has been met with fierce resistance from UEFA, the AFC, and CONCACAF. UEFA even hinted at boycotting FIFA competitions if the plan moves forward.
That's a bold stance, but it shows how strongly they feel about this. The idea of private equity influencing the World Cup is unsettling for a lot of people. There's a fear that commercial interests could overshadow the sporting integrity of the tournament.
And Carlos Cordero's resignation adds another layer to this. He was a senior advisor to Infantino and a key figure within FIFA. For him to step down and publicly criticize the plan is significant.
It really is. He called the proposal a bad deal for football and urged others within FIFA to speak out. That kind of dissent from someone so high up is rare and speaks volumes about the level of discontent.
And let's not forget the optics of this. The lead investor group is reportedly headed by Joshua Kushner, Jared Kushner's brother. That connection is bound to raise questions about transparency and potential conflicts of interest.
Definitely. And the timing of all this is interesting. The World Cup just expanded to 48 teams, and now there's talk of 64. At the same time, this investment plan is being pushed through. It feels like FIFA is trying to do too much, too quickly.
Agreed. And the backlash is only growing. Infantino was expected to run unopposed for another term in 2027, but this controversy could change that. He's facing mounting pressure, and it'll be interesting to see how he navigates this.
It will. But let's take a step back. What's the bigger picture here? For Gaza, it's about finding a path to peace in a deeply divided region. For FIFA, it's about balancing growth and integrity. Both are incredibly complex challenges with no easy answers.
True. And in both cases, trust, or the lack of it, is a major hurdle. Whether it's Hamas and Israel or FIFA and its stakeholders, rebuilding trust is crucial. Without it, progress is almost impossible.
Well said. So what's the takeaway here? For me, it's that these stories, while very different, highlight the importance of transparency, accountability, and genuine dialogue. Whether it's in politics or sports, those principles are non-negotiable.
Absolutely, and I think it's also a reminder that change, whether it's a ceasefire or a World Cup expansion, needs to be thoughtful and inclusive. Rushing into decisions rarely ends well.
Couldn't agree more. All right, I think we've covered a lot today. Let's see how these stories evolve in the coming weeks. It's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Definitely. Until next time.